this is fantastic. So we just want to welcome all our viewers to our Halloween special. That's so exciting. Yay! And we have Tommy from Magnadur and his death mask. Well, it's not really, but it's pretty creepy.
Yes, I like it.
My friend. This is my friend. Very good friend. Halloween friend.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So listen, we're going to have a really fun and interesting and scary show for everybody. And I thought we'd also take the opportunity really to promote a collaboration with you, Tommy, which of course is Chemical Dreams on Spotify and Apple Music. Just released the other day, and yeah, we're cranking the handle of all that kind of music marketing, and we're really encouraging everyone to sort of hit it up and have a bit of a listen to that. And I suppose on that note, I thought we would just talk a little bit about the video that's on YouTube, our YouTube channel, which features our very lovely Tommy. You make a kind of a spot performance on there. And we also were inspired by a particular film, weren't we, Tommy, for that video?
Yeah, the old movie from 1978, Michael Myers.
Yeah, so we want to really kind of scare the hell out of our viewership, you know. So if you haven't seen the video before, guys, do have a look at that. But it was really funny, wasn't it, Tommy? Because in a previous interview, I was telling you that we took certain scenes from that film and we just remade them literally just meters away from our house.
Yeah, that sounded fun. I think everyone should watch the music video and also hear the song in Spotify and Apple and Tidal and everywhere platforms in.
Absolutely, yeah, because it was certainly a low budget. It had featuring my friend with a blanket over them pretending to be a ghost.
Yeah.
He should not let the game away. And then there was a wonderful scene of, you know, the crazy Michael Myers mask, and then me walking around a park looking like I was going to get killed. And there's other scenes as well, but I'm not going to tell people what they are because we don't want to spoil it for them, do we? So just again, everybody, yes, if you're listening out there, basically look for Chemical Dreams by Freekstar featuring Magnadur on Spotify. We want to also use this opportunity on the show to talk about the general theme of horror. And you're going to talk about various lyrics.
Well, one of my main influences when I was a kid was Ozzy, just because of the horror thing, and my first ever sort of introduction to it was actually my brother's record collection. I think it was a double album that was live, and it was Ozzy Speak of the Devil, alright? And that was a major influence. That was the thing that taught me on guitar to play power chords and to riff. But I just loved the album cover because I'm now looking back at it, retro horror, and I was just so fascinated by it. And then the whole thing of Bark of the Moon, major influence, and with the guitarist Jakey Lee, who had a massive influence when I was about 8 years old. And I remember the Salt Lake City gig that he did, which you can see on YouTube, that full thing, and the whole stage setup they had, because they had the kind of horror psycho kind of staircase with the gargoyles, the flamethrower.
Yeah. Does any of that resonate with you, Tommy, or were you into a kind of other things?
You know, I always loved very much Ozzy, and I know I'm very familiar with all of the songs, and those are great lyrics, and those guitar players, what you mentioned, and those are amazing players. So
yeah.
This is many decades of training.
Yeah, I used to sit as a small child playing Lego, listening to Diary of a Madman. Building a castle, a horror castle.
I suppose my only contribution to the horror stuff really is, I mean, I did like Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell. Yeah, that gets me there, does it? So, like a bat out of hell, I'll be gone when the morning comes. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. So I did do a bit of that when I was about 16.
Oh yeah, Meatloaf was great. I think he's passed away something like that. Ozzy is still alive and gigging, so...
Only just. Tommy, only just!
But actually his guitarist Jakey Lee, who was the guy who did Bark of the Moon, he's just recently been shot 3 times.
What?
Walking his dog. Random shooting. He's going to recover though, he's fine now.
Oh, okay.
Jakey Lee will be 67.
Absolutely. So you come from Finland, obviously, Tommy. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the metal scene there, does it resonate with some of these kind of thematics?
Yeah, so I think the most horror influenced the song what I have made so far, and I will say this so far because later on there is coming more. I'm not gonna say this at this moment. The most horror song that I made is in the album, and it's a Black Tree, legendary vampire who lived actually really in Transylvania, and it's a story about that one. It's actually most brutal songs, so it's not even my favorite songs. I get ideas from mainly from movies. Dog of Baskerville and Sherlock Holmes.
I've noticed with your artworks, they have a really interesting quality to them. I mean, I'm not going to say they're horror because they're not necessarily. Where did you get the inspiration for your artworks from? Because there is a sort of a dark side to that.
Yeah. I don't know. It comes to in my mind, just in my. Oh, it's just comes out. I don't know where it's coming, but it's just coming from somewhere.
And you mentioned a composer, John Carpenter.
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, Tommy, like one of the things that really drew me towards your music with the collaboration was the contrast that you have in the music, because you have those great sort of ambient, melodic soundscapes, don't you, which are just a great contrast for the heavy aspect of it. And I really like that. And as soon as I heard those, I knew like what to do, what I could add to it, and what direction I could move in. So it's very, very exciting here. And actually a surprise, you know, because there was bits that I didn't actually use, but you had some great sort of piano in there as well. Together. So
the future songs. My new album is coming from, because I now made a record deal in the Slip Trick Records. And the new album is coming something like February or March.
I'm going to just tell everyone, you know, one of the reasons we're on here is, of course, because we're promoting the latest single, Freekstar and Magnadur, Chemical Dreams. So everybody get yourselves on Spotify, please, and just hit it up. Have a look at the YouTube channel, Freekstar. And, of course, also, Tommy, you're going to be posting this particular, piece of work up on your channels, too.
Definitely.
Now, what we promised our listeners, of course, was our real live horror story, which is not just made up, everybody, but something which is certainly something that Hutch and I actually lived through, which is quite interesting. And I'm just wondering if you're ready to be scared, Tommy, or maybe you're just unscareable. But anyway, so is everybody ready to listen to a story out there? Are you ready? I can hear them all screaming already.
So basically, a while ago, I got really obsessed on YouTube with a British UK program called Ghost Hunters, and they go exploring, and they have a clairvoyant and all this sort of stuff, and they go exploring what they think are the most haunted places. And actually, the most haunted place in the entire whole wide world is apparently Chillingham Castle. Now, we live...
Which is in Northumberland,
Well, I'm coming to that. Northumberland is near Scotland, and Chillingham Castle was, at the time, and this would be William Wallace era, so I think we're talking like 1200s, was a military muster point, so it was very much a hot military point where the armies would gather and then go and fight the Scots. And so it has like a really history, and this is why it's haunted, because lots of prisoners were taken back to the castle. And one of the things that they would do then they would make sure they would tie corpses and people alive and crucify people to trees and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, Wilson here surprised me, right, with a little holiday there. We were gonna an overnight for Christmas, where we would go and stay a full night in Chillingham Castle in what was called the dairy apartment. So the dairy apartment basically is a medieval refrigerator, so it's called.
It wasn't too cold the night we were there, though, Tommy. They did have a bit of heating for us, okay, so we didn't freeze to death in the night.
Did you have some room there, or where did you?
It was like an apartment, so the upstairs was like the living area, and it was basically living room and kitchen. Open plan.
You know, moose's heads on the wall and all this sort of stuff.
Oh Lord!
Oh, like everywhere you go, there's just crazy stuff. I mean, the medieval. They've got this banquet hall. They've got this huge, like medieval elephant armor. You've never seen anything like it. So they've got like not just stuff like that, like hanging up all over the place. You know, it's really, really interesting. So we were in the dairy apartment, living room, and what Wilson had done here is just as we were, leaving to go there, she quickly went to the library and got a reference book out and thought a little bit of history about the dairy room.
Ooh.
And so when we got there, one of the first things I thought, oh great, I'll read about it. They also had a visitors book as well, where people would write into this visitors book, like all the kind of ghosts and stuff. I mean, it was so far-fetched, I didn't really believe any of that, But anyway, I was reading this thing that Wilson had got from the library, and basically it was just telling you history about, as I was saying, that the dairy room, the fact it was a medieval refrigerator. And this group of historians actually brought a clairvoyant with them because they'd heard it was so haunted, and just in case there was something there, they could potentially make contact, right? So anyway, as I was reading this, it said downstairs in the dairy apartment we did make contact, and then basically she didn't photocopy the rest of it.
I know, I'm an idiot.
I was like, oh, what's it like? What's getting me? They made contact. What did they make contact with? Right? Bearing in mind, when we stayed there, we're pretty much teetotal. We didn't drink or anything like that. We went to bed, basically, and turned the lights out. And then in this room, in our bedroom, I could not sleep. There in front of me was this weird, it almost looked like alien-like, but you could think of it maybe as a rib cage. It was like this.
Yeah.
Blue, like a dull blue neon pulsating thing.
Do the
above me.
pulsating.
So imagine that at 45 degrees, and it was like, whoa, blue neon, dull blue neon pulsate. They looked quite beautiful, and it was actually just hovering above me. But I didn't feel totally for my life like I had to run out of the room. It was like it was observing me, so it felt more like an alien thing rather than a ghostly thing.
Oh no!
And then there was these kind of weird green flashes coming past my face. So anyway, I felt like I was looking at this thing for quite some time, and then I nudged Wilson here.
And I was there,
Quiet.
lying in the bed, and my eyes were shut at the time, and I opened my eyes.
And I asked
honestly,
the question, what colour is it? And you said...
And I looked up, and literally, and honestly, Tommy, I don't believe in ghosts, right? You know, I've never believed in all that sort of phenomena. I used to think that was just for cranks and people who liked aliens, right? But I could see what looked like a greeny blue torso flickering above the bed. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's crazy. And
Did you run away? Or
we were lying in the bed, and we both looked at it maybe for about four. It felt like 4 or 5 seconds to me, not long. And then he switched.
I switched the light off. So yeah, that was like absolutely. So anyway, we went back to sleep, and there's another thing that actually happened at the end of sort of the corridor where we were, near to where the toilet was, which would be about, I don't know, 20 feet down this corridor. There was this circular old gong, right?
oh yeah.
Sort of later on, just as I thought I was getting to sleep, there was it sounded like it had been hit. Dong,
Gets worse, doesn't it?
I thought, oh no. But at that point I was just, I give up on just if I don't sleep, but I'm not getting out of this bed. That was it.
Yeah, it's better to keep the lights on, and just when you have to leave the room, just go and run fast.
And then so the next day came, and then we decided, well, it was time to go, really.
Yeah, but can I tell him a bit about that?
Well, yeah.
Okay, this is notorious for being haunted, this castle, right? But I used to think they're just making a story up to get tourists there, right? Because it would be a good selling point, okay?
Yeah.
So I went down to the office where the receptionist was, and I said this story, and I said, have you ever seen a ghost? She said, you know what, I haven't seen a ghost ever, and I've worked here for 6 years. And she says, I get people in here all the time when they've stayed in this hotel telling me this sort of stuff. She said, but I never believed them. But she said, you know what, I believe you. Ghost except me. It was just awful. I was like, oh my god, I'm going to be followed by a ghost for the rest of my life. So, yeah, so it's just really creepy as hell.
But there's actually one funny thing. In Chillingham Castle, there's this like little area, right? And anybody who's ever taken anything from the castle always gets really bad luck. If they've like anything they've taken from there, right? So I said, whatever you did, whatever you've done, Wilson, you haven't taken anything like the soap or anything that all.
You know when you take stuff from a hotel, the soap.
Normally you would take something, yeah.
And she had, so that had to get posted back.
I took a shampoo, right, and I put it in an envelope and posted it.
Yeah, the free shampoo that you get, so that was posted back. So anyway, we drove home, and the first thing I did, right, was go to the library and get the rest of that reference book, that section that Wilson had photocopied and not got. So I was in the library, I can feel the hairs standing up on my arm when I talk about this. I found the section and I read it, and the bit where I left off was basically these historians made contact with this boy who'd been killed in the dairy apartment. He was basically mauled to death by dogs, and with that, at that point, they heard a loud metallic clang, and immediately I thought about the gong. So there we go, we both saw the same thing, and then there was the gong.
So,
metallic clang.
I just want to thank you also for doing the collaboration with us, Tommy. It's been really good fun, and you know, you never know, in the future we might do another one at some point. I thought your voice was super fantastic on the track, and you know, and your support on this project's been absolutely second to none.
Thank you, it's my pleasure, and of course if you want a collaboration later, I'm always with you guys, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much indeed. Okay, Tommy, all the best, and we will see you very soon.
We see you. Thank you. Bye.